I'm feeling Brazilian today. So, rotation hit in Japan a while back, blah blah blah, you guys already know that. But something very interesting is happening, and not something I think I've ever seen before. So, we all know that there is a few decks that are standing out above the rest right now in Japan. You know, Lucario is up there. What else is up there? There's the Grimmsnarl is up there, but there is a third more sinister deck, which is also up there. But when I say up there, I mean like up, like there's levels to this shit. Like up the treadmill. Treadmills don't go up. Up the Stairmaster, it's going up. Dragapult right now is doing numbers. Like it is putting in 2018 LeBron performances. It is putting in Kobe performances. It is like just, it is moving like an invasive species, right? Like this guy does not miss. He just does not miss. And there is so many versions of Dragapult, which I honestly think attribute to its success. So I think it is really cool that there's a lot of decks succeeding in Japan. Like there's just a really cool like variety of decks. However, it is very top heavy, like very top heavy. I'm going to show you a graph in a moment. A graph. We're doing statistics today, boys. We're looking at numbers and we're crunching them numbers. Anyway, so here is the current charts. This is top 16 of all tournaments. These are the City Leagues. City Leagues are 64-player tournaments, and this is the top 16 conversion. So basically, out of all the decks that go to these City Leagues events, this is the top 16 meta share, right? Because over there, top cut isn't 8, it is top 16. So it's quite easy to track what gets top 16, right? Because once you get to that stage, it's just a single elimination tournament, right? So here over in B tier, we see some interesting things, right? Like we see the Fraud Watch over there, right? We see Grimmsnarl, we see a questionable guy over there as well. We see Alexam, we see Zoroark, my goat, my king, my captain. Diancie over here doing her thing, Garchomp, and Metangros, right? So that is B tier, right? Then we move up to A tier and we see Lucas, right? Lucario, as we know, has been doing pretty good in post-rotation tournaments. It's been up there. It's definitely been the the competitor to this guy. It is currently 1v1ing Dragapult, losing. Don't get me, it's getting absolutely diffed. It is getting smoked like that one Jujutsu Kaisen scene where bro is just getting absolutely thumped up by two dudes, and two dudes, it's just two Dreepies being shot at this guy from left and right. Like, I mean, committing actual war crimes on this guy, dude. Like, this is bad, right? But, you know, this is, I guess the craziest thing you would say is, you know, 25%. That means 1 out of 4 decks in top 16 is Dragapult, and then 12% over here, basically 1 out of 8 decks is Lucario, and then all of these have, like, you know, less than 10%, so they don't really care, not relevant, except for Zoroark, the goat. But then we go and take a look at the top 4 conversion rates, and wow. Yeah. So out of 144 decks, 30%, essentially 1 out of every 3 decks in top 4 is Dragapult, right? And then we see Lucario sitting at 9% and Grimmsnarl sitting at 11.1%. This is insane, right? Like, I mean, there's levels to this shit. There's a gap, right? There is a clear skill gap, and that entire skill gap is the A tier, right? There is no A tier decks. It is either you're playing a tier 3 suboptimal shitbox or Dragapult, right? There is nothing in between. So all I'm saying is I hope you are ready to learn the Dragapult mirror. I hope your Lilies Clefairies are ready to deal with Dragapult while in Dragapult. Because yeah, Dragapult is kind of goofy right now. And it's not just the Dragapult that you guys are used to. Let's take a quick look at the City Leagues, right? So let's just go over to a random tournament, and we'll see a few Dragapults, obviously, in the top 16. We see 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we see 4, right? This isn't too many, right? This is fair. But we see 1 Dragapult Dusknoir, 2 Dragapult Blazikens, and a straight Dragapult, right? So I just want to take a quick look at the straight Dragapult decklist, because this is a very, very, very similar list to the one I built for post-rotation as well. I've been testing post-rotation a lot with Japanese friends, and this is one of the better versions of the deck. In fact, this is probably my favorite way to build the deck. I will be releasing a very in-depth guide on a very similar version to this Dragapult post-rotation, and I'll be releasing that probably in the coming week. So keep your eyes out for that if you want to know how to play Dragapult, and if you want to be ready to play Dragapult in the post-rotation. So this is fairly basic. It's basically straight Pult, if you think about it, but obviously with the post-rotation, you got Meowth, which is obviously a great card. It searches out for any of your supporters, and obviously you have some very specific supporters that are quite good. So obviously it just turns any of your Ultra Balls into Boss's Orders, which is great. Crispin is obviously a very important card in the post rotation because you don't really want to play Hilda right now because Neo Upper is just not as good of an A-spec. Unfair Stamp is just a better A-spec in Dragapult. Now that we lost Luminous, means we have to play Basic Energy. If we're going to be playing Basic Energy, we may as well play Crispin since our attack Phantom Dive is Psychic and Fire. It's an awkward attack cost. We want to be attaching to Monkey Dories anyway with Whiskey Ruins. With Whiskey Ruins, it pairs really well with the Monkey Dory. And then Clefairy is obviously 2 energy, 1 psychic, 1 colorless, meaning we can just slap that psychic onto Clefairy, slap a dark or fire, usually it'll be a fire onto Clefairy, and we can be one-shotting Dragapults. And if we unfair stamp and set up Lily's Clefairy, take a knockout onto their Dragapult, there's a good chance they're not going to respond. Right? There's a good chance they're not going to respond. Then we have Shaman. You might be thinking, well, what the hell is Shaman there for? Honestly, Shaman is there for the mirror match with the Terra version of the deck, right? The Terra box version with the Water Ogre. And then we've got the Psyduck, which is also there for the mirror match for the Dusk Noir version. And it's also there for the Diancie Dusk Noir decks and the Big Jelly Guy Dusk Noir decks and that kind of stuff. So this deck is teched out for the mirror, right? Risky Ruins is also technically for the mirror as well, because obviously whenever you put a non-dark Pokemon onto your bench, it takes 2 damage. So if you're playing against Mirror and they put down Dreepy, well, you know, it's on 50 HP, meaning you can Phantom Dive, knock out a Dreepy, and knock out active. It also means whenever you bench a Monkey Dory, you can slap your Dark Energy onto it and immediately move 2 damage over. It's like a pseudo Horlucha, and also like a very, very pseudo tiny little bomb, like a Dusk Noir, right? Dusclops, except you don't have to give up a price card, because obviously this deck doesn't really have that, like, high damage output. It is still just limited to Phantom Dive, but the thing is, the 6 damage counter sometimes can be a little bit underwhelming, so you might want to move a little bit more over. For example, something like Riolu that has 80 HP, you would want to kill that, right? You do not want to let Riolu evolve into Lucario, because then it might be a little difficult to deal with if you weren't running the Clefairy. That's another thing. Clefairy can one-shot the Lucario, but since it has 80 HP, you can now move 20 damage with your Monkey Dory over to that Riolu. You can Boss's Order something and take 2 prize cards, right? And take a really easy 2 prize cards. Then you can boss one more thing, take 1 prize card, and then they'll have to attack with a Lucario because they don't really have a way to deal with Dragapult. And once they attack with Lucario, the game is basically over because you're just going to go Lily's Clefairy. That's why Dragapult just has the toolkit to deal with any of these really big decks in the format, right? Like if we take a look at what's winning, right? What are the things that Dragapult can't really deal with here? Like Zoroark might be a little bit difficult. Zoroark is probably an arguably more difficult deck to deal with for Dragapult, but it's still very, very possible. Then we've got things like Team Rocket's Mewtwo, which is still fine. It's still a perfectly fine matchup, especially when you're playing the Straight Pult, right? And then, yeah, we just kind of take a look at all these other things that are just winning. And it is just a lot of Dragapult, right? Like, if we take a look at, let's say, this one over here. Again, let's just take a quick look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 Dragapults in top 16, right? So the conversion for Dragapult is really good, and that's because the meta for it is really good. Grimmsnarl Monkey Dory is a fairly simple matchup. You play double Monkey Dory, you're essentially just a better Grimmsnarl, right? Then we've got the Hariyama Lucario, which is, like I said, a pretty easy matchup. Diancie Dusk Noir, Psyduck. The mirror match with Dusk Noir, Psyduck. The mirror match itself, well, that's just an identical mirror, right? You can see, like, Alakazam is still just Alakazam. Like, if you Stadium Bump, you just win the game, basically, because you always have Monkey Dories and stuff. Archaludon might be a little bit difficult if you're not playing your Dusk Noirs and stuff, so that is probably a questionable matchup. This, don't even ask me what the hell's going on there. And then, yeah, you can kind of see that all of this entire meta is not that bad for Dragapult. A deck that has been phased out of the meta quite swiftly is the Starmie Frostlass, right? Because this just doesn't beat Dragapult in any way, shape, or form, right? It is just worse Dragapult. It does 120 and 50, so if I play Shaman, right, you're doing 120. Congrats, right? And I have Monkey Dories. If I set up both my Monkey Dories, you're doing 60, right? You're doing the same damage to me as I am moving over. Obviously, you'll have your own Monkey Dories, but you're also a 3-prizer. So I can very easily just target stuff down and win the game off of that. So it is just a very, very difficult time for anything that isn't a Dragapult, right? Like, Dragapult is just cooking really good. It's hard to say, it's hard to justify playing anything that isn't Dragapult or anything that directly counters Dragapult, right? So that's kind of all I really wanted to take a look at today. It was just kind of saying that it's looking bad if you're not a Dragapult enjoyer because of how much Dragapult is winning. Also, Raging Bolt, what the hell is going on over here? Here's a Raging Bolt list, free Raging Bolt list, guys. Don't ask how that's still alive and kicking, but it won a tournament. There you go. For all you Crayon Eaters, there you go. There's a little bit of hope for you. But yeah, thanks for watching. Peace.